85% of young people feel chronically lonely. In other words, when things get tough, 1.9 million young people feel like they have no one to turn to. If you're aged anywhere between 16 and 25, you might relate to some of what I'm about to say. Social media makes it hard to make genuine friends. For some weird reason, it feels like people are more judgmental these days. Even if you wanted to strike up a conversation with someone new, it feels scary. You go through phases of wanting to make friends, wanting to meet new people, but you also feel quite content with your own company, and sometimes you question, why should I even bother? There are so many things getting in the way of you meeting new people, whether it's online or offline. And after asking you guys for your opinions, a lot of which I found quite surprising, so we're going to unpack some of the biggest reasons why Gen Z struggle to make friends and what that means for the future in this video. Hey, if you're new, I'm Christina and I make videos for people who are feeling lonely. If you're a people pleaser, overachiever, overthinker, over anythinger, then you're in the right place. I asked you guys in my community tab to share some reasons why you think Gen Z struggle to make friends, and you did not disappoint. Being a Gen Z and being 16 to 25 or whatever range Gen Z is, because every website I've checked has a different range. Being a person in your late teens / early 20s, there are so many different things you're going to be struggling with. But I think one of the common themes is maintaining and building new friendships. People think because we have social media and because we've grown up with it, then it's easier for us. But weirdly enough, I think it's made it infinitely harder. One of the reasons why is that friendships have become more of a want than a need. Talking about the difficulty making friends, especially among Gen Z, is because now making friends is more like a want than a need. Considering the easy availability of phones and social media where everyone lives in their own social bubbles, consequently, everyone thinks that everyone thinks like them. People are easily offended, you're considered a red flag for the slightest inconvenience, everything is an ick, and you're given a label for the slightest of unpopular remarks. In the early stages of meeting someone new, I can definitely see this nowadays, where you're meeting someone new and you want to be yourself, you want to be authentic, you want to crack normal jokes that you would crack. Maybe they're a little bit offensive, maybe they're just unique to you, whatever. Sometimes when you're meeting someone new that's around about your age, you do feel a bit of like a distance to like not offend and tiptoe around the more controversial parts of your personality. I feel like on the surface, a lot of us do a really good job of looking and presenting like we've got our shit together. Like we're organized, we've got a job, we've graduated, we're in this great career, we're hustling and getting up the corporate ladder. Like a lot of us seem like we're super put together. However, with a lot of us that are very like young people that have just started a new career and like very hardworking, there is a lot that we've sacrificed to get to this position. Like I know for myself to graduate med school at 23, graduate with a social media side hustle career that's going relatively well. The amount of clubs, sports that I wanted to join, but I was just like, no, I'd rather have that time alone to hustle and grind. I'd love to meet new people, but the anxiety that it will bring is just, I can't even be bothered to put up with that. Like, let me just stay in my comfort zone and work hard on something that I'm familiar with, feel safe. Let me just do that. For a lot of us, we really do desire friends. We really do desire people that are like-minded and have similar ambitions as us. But it's not a need in the sense that sometimes we prioritize other things. We prioritize our career, even sometimes our alone time. Like we'd rather spend time alone because we're quite a busy, productive, like hustle culture, grind, like grind in your 20s so you can rest in your 30s. We're slowly becoming that sort of a culture as well, or maybe we already are. Sometimes we face the problem of replacing friends with personal hobbies. I love spending time doing activities I can do by myself, such as reading, but whenever I start connecting with someone random, I distance myself because I value my free time more. And spending time with someone else prevents me from doing the things that I love doing by myself. I think we need to stop replacing friendships with personal hobbies and try having both at the same time. I relate to this one so much. When I saw this comment, I was like, heart. Like I relate to this so much because when you are lonely, you've got all this free time. You can either throw all that free time into social media and doom scrolling and going on TikTok for 4 hours a day, or you can like make yourself busy. You can focus a lot on school, like this comment says, or you can focus a lot on reading, sports, the gym, the side hustle. Like you can make yourself super busy and distracted, which worked really well for me. I say really well in quotation marks because me being so lonely and wanting to distract myself led me into studying and working super hard, which got me into medical school. But then it created that problem all over again because then I got to med school and then I met some people, but I never actually developed the social skills to talk to new people and make friends. A lot of us do replace friendships with personal hobbies, like this comment says. Sometimes it's not always a bad thing though. Sometimes I do think it's you need personal hobbies. You need a life. When you do make the friends, you need things to talk about that you do in your own time. like reading, like your side hustle. Like you do need hobbies. I think the thing is when you maybe become so self-sufficient that you kind of like, you turn down the opportunities to make new friends, or the negative voice in your head that's telling you that you're really boring and you never have anything good to say is telling you to cancel the plans when you get invited to stuff. Sometimes I think my loneliness when I was like a few years ago, I don't even think it was literally like I had no one around me, because I had classmates and I had people that I had flatmates. I had people that I lived with. I lived in international, like I lived in a building full of international students, people from all over the world. So I literally had opportunity to meet all kinds of people with all kinds of interests. I still in myself felt like that lonely girl, or the lonely girl who just got into medical school and is super excited. But I think because I carried all my old beliefs of, Christina, you're so boring, you have nothing good to say, like no one's gonna listen to you, like make sure when you do talk in a group setting, you make it quick and just hurry up and move on so that someone else can talk. Like I never even saw myself as deserving of talking to people and having a friend. So then when I was actually put in that situation at medical school, new building full of international students, I physically couldn't come out of my shell because I'd never given myself the skill. Turns out 24% of young people think that if you're lonely, it's your own fault. This is some research that the Co-op Foundation did on loneliness amongst young people. And they had some other stats that were quite interesting as well. 77% of young people who are lonely say feeling lonely makes them speak up less. I can vouch for that 1,000%. One of the big themes that I saw in the comment was effort. Most importantly, our lack of effort. It feels like people don't really want to put in effort when they try to make friends. People my age are always trying to be nonchalant and mysterious about everything, even when socializing. 100%. I feel like that links back to what I said about like, you don't want to put in all this effort for to have no return. Like, I feel like people are very aware of that and they're trying to like this comment says, be mysterious and nonchalant. Like, they don't want to seem like they're trying. Because in a weird way, in my experience, trying to make friends and putting an effort to make friends and showing that like, oh, I really don't have any friends, like I'm trying to get them, is a bit embarrassing. Like, there were times when after classes, I'd go to like society clubs and stuff and like, to meet new people. But like, I'd make sure I'd go at certain times or leave at certain times or take like the longer route so I'd avoid the really popular student areas, because I didn't want people to see me like walking by myself or going to an event by myself. Like, I didn't want people to see like, why is Christina going to that event on her own? Like, why is she with no one else? And now that I think back, I just had a lot of shame around being seen as someone that was on my own, and I wasn't confident being seen on my own. I feel like people don't always have a problem making friends, as in just being nice to one another, but rather struggle to put in the work to maintain the connection. I'm working 2 part-time jobs and doing time grad school for philosophy, and I find myself struggling to make an effort to maintain connections. Now that I think of it, now that I'm sat down and talking about it, I feel like our careers are getting in the way of us making friends. Like, some of us have grinded so much and girl bossed so much that is actually stopping us like making friends. It's making our entire social life, like our work life, like the people we mingle with at work, those are our friends. Our colleagues are our friends now, because there's just no time outside of it to like check in with your old friends and see how they're doing and call them and FaceTime them. I could not make a video about Gen Z struggling to make friends and some of the reasons for it without touching on social media. It feels exhausting to talk about this and dissect it, like social media in particular, because it's such an addicting aspect of our lives. Like, I really and truly have a love-hate relationship with Instagram. It's actually more hate at this point. I hate opening the app. So the only reason I post on Instagram is because I know it's important as a content creator to stay consistent, and like, I know I have to post. So often when I'm like, okay, what should I post? I kind of gain inspiration and I'm going on Reels. And guys, Reels are so addicting, but they're not even good addicting. Like, I'm addicted to a bad thing. It's not like TikTok, where you can doom scroll and you've learned something new about outer space or about psychology or about relationships. Like, you learn stuff on TikTok, or you actually just get a new perspective. Like, it's actually so interesting to sit on TikTok for an hour. Versus Instagram Reels, I've gained absolutely nothing. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is it's such an addicting part of our lives, and it's like a love-hate thing. It's like you feel like you're in a chokehold with it, and depending on how you use it, they just don't do much for you. Like, I find like whenever I do go on these apps to gain inspiration, like, I'm just not getting anything. They call themselves social media. They don't help me be social at all. Sure, I'll send some of my friends a TikTok, be like, oh my God, this is so funny, like, you need to see this. Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'll send your friends TikToks because they're funny, or send Reels because they're funny. But like, is that a friendship I want? Where we're just exchanging Reels and we never even talk in between them. It's just like a ha-ha or a laugh emoji. And that's the friendship. A while back, I read a book by a guy called Johan Hari. I think the book was called Stolen Focus. It was essentially about how apps are designed to keep you addicted to them. Like, bro, the engineering and the computer science and the software that goes into making them so addicting. That book was super interesting. I'll link it down below. In the book, he spoke about the fact that social media doesn't care. Facebook, Instagram, they don't care about you actually seeing your friends and you actually being social with your friends. He was saying in the book how if Facebook actually cared about you genuinely seeing your friends in real life, they could have a feature where you see when your friends are online and active and when they're kind of nearby to you. So you could send out a message or broadcast saying like, hey guys, does anyone want to grab a drink right now if anyone's free? And Facebook would actually allow you to see friends in real life because they have the technology to know where people are when they're online and when they're available. It doesn't actually get people off of their phones and into real life social settings. It just keeps people on their phones. I'm quite confident a lot of us would let go of social media and actually like ditch it and have more in-person friendships if we weren't so addicted to it. It's honestly so hard not to be addicted to it. I don't leave Instagram or leave TikTok feeling like, wow, that was such a good use of my 30 minutes. I feel so refreshed. Like I never have that. It's always like I just spent 30 minutes wasting my time. Like, why did I even do that? Like it's always like an addicted, like annoyance. I can't help myself but be addicted sort of feeling. It's also really tough when social media seems like the place that will help your loneliness. Like you can meet people online on different Facebook groups. You can find events on Eventbrite and then stay up to date on their Instagram where they post updates. It's like you do have to be on there to kind of like see where all the events are happening and see what new things are going on. And in the research I mentioned earlier, this is a common thing. 89% of young people who felt lonely have taken action that has helped them to combat their feelings of loneliness. It doesn't say whether this is social media, in-person events, reconnecting with old friends. Like it doesn't say. But I know a lot of us, when we feel lonely, we do take action. And I feel like the first thing we do is like, okay, let me see what's out there. Let me see what events are happening on Facebook, on Eventbrite. One of you guys gave your perspective as a millennial, which I thought was interesting. I didn't grow up heavy on smartphone use, nor online gaming, but things have changed. Today, screens control so much of our time, interest, and attention. So I will say Gen Z has a disadvantage. Back then, a stranger could make your day. You wanted to interact to kill boredom. Today, you as an individual have no entertainment value. Everyone would prefer looking at memes over interacting with you. I mean, that's equal parts sad as it is equal parts true. People would rather interact with memes than interact with you. I do think like our generation defaults, like your default position and default activity when you're commuting or you're kind of like waiting in line, your default is to just scroll on your phone. Like there's no kind of just looking up at the scenery. There's no like, oh, hey, how are you to this person next to you. That's almost weird actually. Like that's almost a strange thing to do. I'm bad for this as well. I'm part of the problem. Like if I'm at the queue at work and I'm grabbing my lunch and I've decided what I'm going to get. And I'm like, okay, I just need to wait for the queue to go down now. I'll bring out my phone. I'll go on my calendar. I'll start planning my day. I'll start planning like what I'm going to do this weekend. I don't, unless I know someone in the queue, unless I'm with my friend, like I wouldn't start talking to someone. I don't think this is a problem though. I don't think it's a problem that we default to our phones. I think that's fine. It's just, I think that we're also not very welcoming of when people do say hi. Like I think the fact that if someone, a stranger, like I do not know this person, said hi to me in the street or at a supermarket, like as if I was out shopping and they just wanted to start a conversation with me, that's culturally a little bit strange. I think with time, say our generation switched overnight and we actually started to just kind of strike up conversation with strangers, like, oh, hey, I love your shoes. Like, and you just wanted to start a conversation or you just wanted to talk to them. And that slowly became normal. Then even if we were still like glued to our phones, I could actually see us being slightly more social as a culture. When I asked you guys to submit your responses, I also wanted to know, if you were to have a thriving social life in a week's time, what would be the thing that would change? And some of your responses were really interesting. If in a week I could have a fab social life, then I would stop doubting myself, stop second guessing before saying anything, and stop being fearful of offending anyone. Someone else said, maybe go to more social gatherings. I've noticed I always give my social life less of a priority than other parts of my life, like school or hobbies. I feel uncomfortable and I always feel like I have to be on when I'm around other people. So being at social gathering just makes my anxiety spike. I totally know the feeling of that. And those two comments, they definitely echo what a lot of other people are saying about if overnight your social life improved, it would be like more feeling of confidence and more at ease talking to other people, like less stress and anxiety. I think it's reassuring though, like from my own experience and looking at all these comments, I just feel so many similarities and I feel like I feel so similar to how you guys feel and you guys feel so similar to each other. And it reassures me that a lot of us feel the same way. This is not a unique experience that is just you, or it was never just me on my own that was feeling that way. It was like so many other people felt the exact same way. but I didn't know where they all were and I didn't know how to talk to them or find them. Or I didn't even know that they existed. But now you know, if you made it this far into the video. I've said in a couple videos already, but I am wanting to one day make a community / app / thing where like-minded people like you guys can all talk in a safe space. And I might just make a Discord, who knows. If you want to be the first to find out, then join the waitlist in my link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy my 7 signs you're more confident than you think video, where I was talking about the subtle signs that introverts and quiet people, or more reserved people, give off, that you're actually more confident than you think. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.